Hi friends, welcome to day 2 of Read Aloud. Before we get started today, I just want to say that we are still missing you guys, but we are glad that you are taking ownership of your own learning and watching all of these videos at home and filling out all of the packets at home as well. If you are trying to find the packets online, you want to go into the Google Drive link that your parents should have gotten in the email. Then you want to go to the folder that says grade 1. Then you want to go into the folder that says Read Aloud, and each folder has a specific day, and in each day you will find the materials that you'll need for that day. So for today, March 19th, you will need a copy of the book Jamaica's Find, and you will need the pieces of paper that up on top it says Read Aloud March 19th, Jamaica's Find. And if you guys have any questions or your parents are confused, they can always reach out to your teacher. We are more than happy to help during this time. We know that it can be very confusing. So let's jump in. The book that we're reading today is called Jamaica's Find. Now remember, as we are going through this book, I'm going to be asking you some questions about the story elements, and you should also be thinking about how the character is feeling throughout the story. And I'll ask you to pause the video after I ask the question so that you can take your time writing down the answer, and then you can always go back if you need to hear the question again, and you can resume when you're ready to move on. So, the book is called Jamaica's Find. When Jamaica arrived at the park, there was no one there. It was almost supper time, but she still had a few minutes to play. She sat in a swing, pushed off with her toes, and began pumping. It was fun not to have to watch out for the little ones, who always ran in front of the swings. Then she climbed up the slide. There was a red sock hat at the ladder step. Jamaica took it for a ride. She slid down so fast that she fell in the sand and lay flat on her back. When she rolled over to get up, she saw a stuffed dog beside her. It was a cuddly gray dog, worn from hugging. All over it were faded food and grass stains. Its button nose must have fallen off. There was a round white spot in its place. 2 black ears hung from its head. So we're going to pause right there, and with all of the information that we've gathered from this book so far, we can answer the first 3 questions on the sheet of paper that you guys have. So the first question is, what is the genre? The second question is, who is the main character? And the third question is, what do we know about the main character so far? So I'm going to ask you to pause the video right here, and then you can answer those questions and resume when you're ready. So after reading these last few pages, we can see that there are pictures, that there are illustrations instead of photographs, and that even though Jamaica could be a real person, she doesn't really exist. She's not a real person. So we know that the genre of this book is fiction. We also know that because this book isn't teaching us anything, it's telling us a story. And we also know that the main character is Jamaica because she's the only character that's been talked about since the beginning of the story. And what we know about Jamaica, she is a little girl who likes to play at the park, and we know that she likes to use the swings when no one else is there, so she doesn't have to worry about kicking any little kids who run in front of the swings. Now, we should also be thinking about character feelings as well when we are reading this book. So, I'm looking at the illustrations to tell me how Jamaica feels. Now, on the first couple of pages, Jamaica doesn't have a huge smile on her face, but I know that she's still feeling happy or content. That means that you're happy or comfortable where you are or whatever you're doing, but you're not particularly excited. So she's calm, she's happy, she's content. And I know that she's happy because she said that it was fun not to have to watch out for the little ones who always ran in front of the swings. On this page, she does have a smile on her face. So that's how I know that she's happy as well. Let's keep reading. Jamaica put the dog in her bicycle basket. She took the hat into the park house and gave it to the young man at the counter. The first thing her mother said when Jamaica came in the door was, "Where did the dog come from?" "The park. I stopped to play on the way home," Jamaica said. "I found someone's red hat and took it to the lost and found." "But Jamaica, you should have returned the dog too," said her mother. Then she said, "I'm glad you returned the hat." "It didn't fit me," Jamaica said. "Maybe the dog doesn't fit you either," her mother said. "I like the dog," said Jamaica. So we can also answer another question on our worksheet now as well. What is the setting of this story? So you're going to pause the video right here, take a couple minutes to fill out what the setting is. Remember, the setting can be more than one place, and then resume the video when you're ready. So we know that the setting is a couple of places. At the beginning, she was at the park. And now she's back home in either her house or her apartment. So we can either do two things. We can write down that the setting is in the park and in her house, or we can write that the setting is in Jamaica's neighborhood, because both of these places are close to where she lives, so that means that they are in her neighborhood. Let's keep reading. "Don't put that silly dog on the table," Jamaica's brother said. "You don't know where it came from. It isn't very clean, you know," said her father. "Not in the kitchen, Jamaica," her mother said. Jamaica took the dog to her room. She could hear her mother say, "It probably belongs to a girl, just like Jamaica." Keep going. After dessert, Jamaica went to her room very quietly. She held the dog up and looked at it closely. Then she tossed it on a chair. "Jamaica," her mother called from the kitchen. "Have you forgotten? It's your turn to dry the dishes." "Do I have to, Mother? I don't feel good," Jamaica answered. Jamaica heard the pots rattle. Then she heard her mother's steps. So at this point, you can pause the video now to answer the question, what is the problem in this story? What does the character want, and what is getting in her way? So pause the video now, and then you can resume it or play it again when you are done writing down your answer. So we know that the problem in this story is that Jamaica really wants to keep that dog. She loves the dog. She tells her, she doesn't tell her family that she loves the dog. She tells her mom that she likes the dog. And we can see here that she's holding the dog in her arms, but she's facing away from her family. So her family are the ones who are telling her that she should not have the dog, but she really wants to keep the dog. So that's probably why she's faced away from her family. So we know that the problem is that Jamaica wants to keep the dog, even though it's not hers. Now, we need to think about how Jamaica is feeling right now in this story as well. We can use the illustrations, or at this point in the story. We can use the illustrations, and we can use what she thinks, says, or does. So, like I said before, she's turned away in this picture, and she has a frown on her face. So she's definitely not happy anymore. She's also sitting all alone. She's not sitting up straight. She doesn't have a smile on her face. I would say that Jamaica feels unhappy. And the reason she feels unhappy is because her mom tells her that she should have returned the dog. And that she realizes that she should have returned the dog too, even though she wanted to keep it. So let's keep reading. Her mother came in quietly, sat down by Jamaica, and looked at the stuffed dog, which lay alone on the chair. She didn't say anything. After a while, she put her arms around Jamaica and squeezed for a long time. "Mother, I want to take the dog back to the park," Jamaica said. "We'll go first thing in the morning," her mom smiled. Jamaica ran to the park house and plopped the stuffed dog on the counter. "I found this by the slide," she told the young man. "Oh, hi! Aren't you the girl who gave me the hat last night?" "Yes," said Jamaica, feeling hot around her ears. "You sure do find a lot of things. I'll put it on the lost and found shelf." Jamaica stood watching him. "Is that all?" he asked. "You didn't find anything else, did you?" "No, that's all." She stayed to watch him put the dog on the shelf behind him. "I'm sure some little girl or boy will come in after today. A nice little dog like that," the young man said. So I can tell that she's still not feeling super happy because she's kind of like hiding behind the counter, and she gave the dog back, but she really didn't want to. And she doesn't have a smile on her face, see? That's what's called reluctant. She's feeling reluctant to give the dog back because even though she knows it's the right thing to do, she still wanted to keep the dog. Jamaica ran outside. She didn't feel like playing alone. There was no one else at the park but her mother, who sat on a bench. Then Jamaica saw a girl and her mother cross the street to the park. "Hi, I'm Jamaica. What's your name?" she said to the girl. The girl let go of her mother's hand. "Kristen," she said. "Do you want to climb the jungle gym with me, Kristen?" Jamaica asked. Kristen ran toward Jamaica. "Yes, but I have to find something first." "What?" asked Jamaica. Kristen was bending under the slide. "What did you lose?" said Jamaica. "Edgar Dog. I brought him with me yesterday, and now I can't find him," Kristen answered. "Was he kind of gray with black ears?" Jamaica couldn't keep from shouting. "Come along with me!" The young man in the park house looked over the counter at the two girls. "Now, what have you found?" he asked Jamaica. But this time, Jamaica didn't drop anything on the counter. Instead, she smiled her biggest smile. "I found the girl who belongs to that stuffed dog." So it looks like Jamaica's feelings are changing again. Jamaica was almost as happy as Kristen, who took Edgar Dog in her arms and gave him a big welcome back hug. Now, before we think about the character feelings, we're going to answer the last two questions on that sheet. So, you're going to pause the video right here and answer the questions. What is the solution and what is the lesson learned? So pause the video now and then resume when you're ready. Alright, so we know that the problem of the story was that Jamaica wanted to keep the dog even though it wasn't hers. And the solution of the story is that she gave it back. So usually the solution of the story is that the character gets what they want. Now in this case, the problem is that Jamaica wanted to keep the dog, but the solution is that she didn't get to keep the dog. The solution is that she brought the dog back to the park to find its owner. Now, even though the character didn't get what they wanted, it was still the solution of the story because the problem was solved. The dog got to go back to its original owner. And the lesson learned in the story is that you shouldn't keep something that isn't yours. That's a lesson that you can think about in a lot of different situations. So it's not the lesson that is specific to this story. Remember, the lesson learned has to be, you can use it in a lot of different situations, and it's what the author is trying to teach you when you read the author's story. So the lesson is that you shouldn't keep something that isn't yours. Now let's think about Jamaica's feelings at the end of the story. So we know that she's still feeling unhappy when she has to give back the dog. She's not pleased about that. But then she meets Kristen, who is the owner of that dog. Now on this page, Kristen is looking for the dog, and Jamaica asks her, was he kind of gray with black ears? But instead of asking her this question at a calm volume, it said Jamaica couldn't keep from shouting. Now, this tells me that she was excited. She was excited to find the owner of the dog. And she was excited to reunite or get the owner and the dog back together. Now, on this page, we can see Jamaica is smiling. So not only is she excited, she's also happy. We also know that because it says, but this time, Jamaica didn't drop anything onto the counter. Instead, she smiled her biggest smile. So that shows me that she's happy that she was able to find the owner of the dog, or who the dog belonged to. And then on the last page too, it says that Jamaica was almost as happy as Kristen. Now we know that Kristen was happy because she got her dog back, and Jamaica is happy because she found the owner of the dog. So now that we've read that book, I'm going to put the same chart up at the end of this video that's going to help you answer the exit ticket. So you're going to think about how Jamaica was feeling at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the story. Then you're going to provide evidence, so you're going to tell me how you know the character is feeling, or Jamaica is feeling that way, and then you're going to say what caused that feeling. So I'm going to put that chart at the end, and you guys can work on that exit ticket. Remember, if you have any questions at all, you can feel free to contact your teacher. We are more than happy to help during this time, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.